Hey everyone, welcome back to another lesson. My name is Quincy and I got a new slogan, language-based Q-tips for jazz drumming, because that's what I'm about. I want to give you helpful, useful Q-tips or lessons that you can apply immediately that will help improve your jazz drumming. So if that sounds good to you, well, then let's go! All right, so you may be using these two sweet drum sounds too much or too little, and I bet you want to know what those dang sounds are. Well, the first one, and I really mean this, it's not exclusive to jazz drumming, but I want to talk about how you can use these sounds in a musical way in a jazz context. That first sound that I'm talking about is none other than the rim shot. Now, I know you're thinking, hey, I know what a rim shot is. I know how to use a rim shot. Well, I found that many drummers, they may be able to use it in a funk setting or in a rock setting fairly easily, but they don't realize how useful and how great of a sound it is in jazz context. And many of our favorite drummers use it all the time. So I'm just going to play a little. And I want you to tell me when I'm using or playing a rim shot. Okay? Those are all rim shots. Right? So maybe I'm being a little obnoxious with it, but the point is that you can get that timbre anytime you want. If you want a punctuation, if you want to kind of just, I kind of think about the snare drum or the middle of the drum as being the clearest, most unobstructed sound that you can create, especially if it's a single stroke. Right? And most of the time, that's kind of the tone that you want if you're playing around the drums, if you're playing especially really straight ahead. But the rim shot can really be a sound that can punctuate the accents that you may have already wanted to play and add a little, I don't know, flair, a little, just a little more attitude to your accents, right? They can also, so I'll talk about the technique exactly that I'm using, but I also want to let you know they can also be, and they should be used in more of a less straight ahead context, right? So playing Latin music, I often think about the sound of the timbales, and that produces, you know, depending on where the tip of the stick is, if it's closer to the middle, it's going to get more of a drier sound. If it's closer to the edge, it's going to get that kind of sound. And maybe you want that if you're playing more of a Latin style and you want kind of more of that timbale sound, right? And then if you're playing funk, obviously, maybe you want that drier sound again. But maybe you want to lean more towards the tone of the drum. So depending on the angle, I'll try to catch it on this other camera, but depending on the angle, that will change how much of the rim sound you get and how much of the drum sound you get. So if the stick is tilted more inward, right, it's going to get more of the sound of the drum. So it sounds a little deeper. But if I tilt it more towards the rim, right, and now I'm getting more of the rim sound. And depending on, like I said, if you want it to sound dry or if you want it to ring, I'm going to move my stick in or out, right? Right? That's more of the drum sound, but with the ring. And then this is more of the rim sound with the ring. Right? And so this is something to practice for sure, because it will add so much more dimension. It add more dimensions to your sound and give you a bigger range. I often hear drummers who only get one sound from the drums that they're playing, and I preach it. I preach this. If you have to, you should be able to play the drums with no rim shots, and that leads me to drummers who only play rim shots. You also should not exclusively play rim shots, okay? So you want to be musical, you want to be selective, and you want to make sure you're using them in a way that doesn't sound obnoxious and predictable, and it fits the style, okay? So with the left hand, the same thing applies that I was doing with the right hand. Now, as you'll be able to see in this camera, there's an angle. I have my drum, as opposed to flat, is slightly tilted to accommodate the natural tilt of my traditional grip. Now, that's not necessary to play a rim shot. However, be careful not to tense your hand, right? A lot of times I think because drummers are trying so hard to get that rim shot sound, they're over controlling it. And actually that can be dangerous to your hand, because now your hand is taking all the shock, right? Whereas if you allow your hand to relax, both hands, my hand, the grip is very relaxed on contact with the drum. So I don't take as much of the hit, so to speak, in my hands, right? Therefore, I don't feel the shock as much. But you notice the tip is in the middle. So that would be a good exercise. Just play 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And if you're new to this, that is going to be very difficult to be consistent. That's why you got to practice it. And you'll start to understand touch a little better, right? Because this requires, it's not just whacking the drum any old way. You have to be mindful of your touch. So work on those rim shots. It's going to add so much more of a range, a dynamic range, and an excitement to your drumming, whether you're soloing or you're comping, whatever you're playing around the drums. I would recommend listening to drummers, and you'll kind of start to recognize when they're using the rim, when they're playing a rim shot, and when they're playing the drum naked, so to speak. All right, so the rim shot. Hey, I just want to make sure you know about a 4-day online jazz drumming seminar, group class, group lesson, whatever you want to call it, extravaganza. It's going to be so much fun. Yes, I'm going to kick your butt, but with love. And you'll be with drummers from all over the world who want to improve their jazz drumming. It's happening in 1 week, July 29th, July 30th, 31st, and August 1st. You want to sign up fast because spots are filling up. And each class focuses on a different aspect of jazz drumming. So there's something for everybody. So I hope to see you there. The shoulder shank. Thank you very much. So the rim shot is a sound that often drummers play too much. I think this is a sound on the ride cymbal, especially when they're playing jazz, that gets utilized too little. Because often drummers think, okay, ride cymbal, I got to play time. I can only play time on the ride cymbal. So they go spang-a-lang, spang-a-lang. but they don't realize that there's so many other sounds that they can get from the cymbal. And one of those sounds, main sounds, that a lot of our favorite drummers use is that shoulder shank. So it's not a full-on crash, though that is also a sound that you should be comfortable with and you should utilize, but it's a shoulder shank. So I am achieving it from this position, my normal ride cymbal position. All I do is push my stick upwards and hit the cymbal with my stick flat, right? So from the throat to the neck and the shaft of my stick, it is hitting the cymbal flat. I don't have to turn my hand any certain way, right? You can keep your hand in the same direction. The tip is in the same direction. I'm just simply moving my stick up and playing the cymbal in that way, as opposed to that way. So in context, it sounds like this. And the advantage of a shoulder shank is that the cymbal, you can keep control of the cymbal because this is a ride cymbal, right? So it's not a full-on crash where you might refer to another cymbal, or you could crash the ride cymbal. The problem with the crash is that you lose control of the ride cymbal, therefore making it harder to return to time playing. So in the midst of your time playing, you can throw in cymbal shanks and it doesn't interfere with the time, with your time playing when you return back to it, right? It's kind of like a quick accent, gets out the way. And that's what I'm talking about. That's the touch that will allow you to have a much more dynamic range of sound and tones and textures in the ride cymbal, okay? All your favorite drummers do it. You should too. I'm going to play a little bit. You hear it? And be really mindful of the balance of your sticks because of your snare drum and the ride cymbal, right? Because it'd be easy to go. And I'm hoping that you can hear on the video that the snare drum is way too loud. So you have to balance it with the ride cymbal. The cymbal can't it's not as loud of an instrument. So you have to play the snare drum a little lighter when you're coupling it with the cymbal. Snare drum might be here, but it's loud enough. Oh, and you can also couple it with the rim shot. Right? So let's see what that sounds like. Whoa. So it makes it a little, right? So it makes it a little sharper, right? When you couple the rim shot with a shoulder shank. It's such a cool sound that Roy Haynes, Tony Williams, Brian Blade, Eric Harlan, all of them, all of our favorite drummers, especially the more modern drummers, they use this sound a lot. But even the older drummers, they use rim shots all the time in a different way, but nonetheless, playing rim shots was a thing. It has been a thing since early drumming, okay? So, putting it all together, remember, you can do it on the toms as well. See, there it is. Do you want a lighter sound or you want a heavier sound? And those are the choices and the musical decisions that you have to make in the moment, in the second, okay? So, let me just play a little bit now. Woo! Ah, I missed it. Sometimes you're going to miss it. It's okay. There it is. I want something ringing right there. Something dry. Ah! Right? Right? So that is it. You may be using these two sweet drum sounds either too much or too little, but hopefully after this lesson, you use them just right, okay? So have fun with those, and let me hear from you in the comments down below. Don't forget about the 4-day drum class, group class, seminar, extravaganza. It's going to be a ball. I hope you'll sign up. We're going to have a good time, and I got some homework for you. I'm going to kick your butt, but we're going to have fun. So I look forward to hopefully seeing you then. But until then, you know what to do. Practice hard, but practice smart. Take care. Bye-bye.